Good evening, everyone. My name is Janet Pichardo. I'm the Director of Family and Community Engagement, and I want to welcome you to the Parent University session this evening. And it's what you see on your screen right now. So we will be hearing from experts and also district staff that will help answer any questions you might have as parents of middle school and high school students about the tool Naviance students. So what I wanted to do before we start is actually let our families know that we do have an interpreters actually on the call right now. And to access the interpreter, I am going to give them guidance in Spanish. So para las familias que están en nuestra llamada en este momento, si quieren escuchar esta presentación completamente en español, por favor miren hacia abajo de la pantalla y van a ver un globo, es como una bolita hacia la mano derecha abajo de la pantalla donde dice Interpretation. Cuando presionan el globo, van a poder ver la opción de inglés o español. Cuando eligen español, van a poder entonces empezar a escuchar el intérprete que está con nosotros ahora. Gracias. So what I want to also share with our families this evening is how we will interact. If you see at the very bottom of your screen, you'll see the Q&A and also the chat feature and the raise hand. So first of all, the chat feature is not open right now for our families, but we will post a link or two, and we will let you know that we will post a link on the chat a little bit later. And that will be requesting feedback regarding our workshop this evening. But in terms of Q&A and raise hand, so if you wish to ask a question or share a statement, you are welcome to go ahead and press Q&A, and you will be able to write your question and statement in writing, and you can write it in English or in Spanish. If you write it in Spanish, we will go ahead and read it out loud for you, and then we will go ahead also and have our panelists respond. If you choose to ask the question live, you are able to press the icon that has the little hand at the very bottom. It's called raise hand. You press that, and then what we will do is we'll call your name as it appears on your video, and we will ask you to unmute. So we are not able to unmute you, so you will have to unmute yourself, and then we will go ahead and ask you, to proceed with your question. And that is the feature for raise hand. I just want to inform everyone that we are recording this session, so it's important for you to know that ahead of time. We are going to try to answer as many questions as you like or that you have, and we will have our presenters or our presenter, let us know when there is time for questions and answers. Other than that, we ask you not to leave at the very end of this presentation, because once our presenters are finished with the presentation and you don't have any more questions, we will proceed with the last section of our Parent University, which is some giveaways. So we do have some giveaways this evening. We have a gift card from Vendor Ravioli, a $10 gift card. We also have 4 free tickets to the zoo. And we also have an artificial green plant from Cardi's Furniture. And these are donations to our Parent University. So please stay on right after the presentation. Okay, so I am going to turn it over to Maria Arazola, but also to Gina Sylvia and Holly Ruscap. If you can at least introduce yourselves, and then Maria, you can proceed with the presentation. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Sylvia. I'm the Director of School Counseling for the district. We have Holly, who's going to introduce herself with me as well from the district.
Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Ruscap. I'm a school counselor specialist, and I work with all PPSD high schools, and I work with the middle schools as well with implementing Naviance in all the middle schools and high schools.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will be going through the Naviance student portal live with you. We're going to share a little bit about what it is, how you access it, what it does for your child. So really excited to be here. Thank you so much for your time this evening. So this is our agenda for today. Again, this is a resource that I will share with the Parent University team, so you'll be able to reference us just like this recording. But we'll get started with why family engagement matters. If you are here this evening, I know that you're very well aware of why it matters, but it's always important to just connect first there and why Naviance Student can be a tool to better support your child and your family's conversations around their plan after they graduate PPSD. So we know when schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. So this is a tool where you can really expand outside those school walls and understand what are their goals, their hopes, and what they're working on year over year, beginning in 6th grade. So why should families get involved? We know that if you're here this evening or if you're watching this recording later on, you already know, but it really makes a huge impact with your child's education and engagement in school. And so today we're just going to review a tool that you can really use to learn more about what they're doing in school when it comes to college, career, and life planning. So with that said, let's give you a little bit of key tools about Naviance Student. So Naviance Student is a web-based tool. It's designed specifically for students. It is used across all middle school and high schools in PPSD, and it can be accessed through your mobile device, a tablet, or a laptop, or computer. So it is not a application, but simply a website that students use to really begin to plan what their goals are, their career research, and really gain information of what their next step is. And with Naviance, we help students ask these 4 key questions. Who am I? What do I want to be? How will I get there? And will I be successful? We start asking these questions through activities and self-discovery explorations, again, beginning in 6th grade. This is a portal that students have been using at Providence schools since 2020. So this is a tool that they should all be familiar with. And we're really excited to now share it with family members and parents. So a little bit about the Naviance journey for students. I'm going to go and show you actually what a student at, let's say, Central High School looks like when they enter Naviance, how you can support them. But just so you have a very clear idea, we always start with that self-discovery, mix in a little bit of career exploration. They're going to have some transition surveys to really support them as they move from 6th to 7th grade, from middle school to high school, and of course, high school to their next plan, may that be college or a career or a trade school. All students at Providence Public Schools actually have a very specific plan year over year. These are called their individual learning plan. Each year they have a set of activities throughout the year, beginning in the fall, that they are engaging with so they can better plan for their next year and thinking even to the future as to what career would be a good fit, maybe what level of education would be needed for that, and do some self-exploration, discovery, and goal setting. So what can students do? Again, I'll show you this live, but they can complete career assessments, they can create goals, track associated tasks and activities, which is a very important part of what your students do when they log into Naviance year over year here at Providence. They can research colleges, scholarships, careers. They can easily communicate with teachers and counselors. And if they're a senior, at this time, they can also request transcripts or letters of recommendations. So now I'm going to give you a live tour of Naviance Student. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second so I can pull my other screen, and we'll review what a 9th grader would see. Again, I'll highlight some of the things that are similar across all grade levels, and then we'll definitely have time for Q&A after we review how you as a parent can access Naviance. Okay, I'm gonna bring my screen up a little bit bigger. And this is Molly. She is a 9th grader at Central High School. When she logs into Naviance, she sees a welcome to high school message. These messages are specific to each grade level, so keep that in mind. If you have a student maybe in 6th grade and a freshman in high school, you can definitely see both of their portals. They'll be working on different things. Their messages will be tailored to what their counselors want to share with them. But really important, they'll have favorites. They'll create this favorite lists around careers, colleges, scholarships, as early as 6th grade, and these favorites will continue with them year over year. So as they make that transition between middle school and high school, they can continue to see what they've liked year over year, have those meaningful conversations with teachers and counselors as they prepare for life after high school. A typical student will always see important to-dos and tasks. As I shared, each student across 6th through 12th grade is going to have a set of activities that academic year that they should be working on. They'll be tailored to that grade level. They'll be specific around what is expected, what would be most helpful for them. So in this case, my important to-dos and tasks is always going to be anything that may be past due, as well as anything that's coming. So that's really a really easy way to understand what is expected of my student or child. What do they need to engage with? Before I dive into specifics around activities, I really want to just give you a tour thinking back to those 4 questions of who am I, what do I want to be, how will I get there, and will I be successful? So when you're thinking about who am I, what do I want to be, we really start with self-discovery at Naviance. Students as early as 6th grade will begin to take self-discovery assessments. Let me pause here and log back in. There's a lot of Central High School. 1 second. My test student connection. There we go. Perfect. So students, typically, if you're a Providence school student active in the district, they're going to actually lever this clever button. But my student is a test. I'm not sharing any specific student, just a sample student. So I am logging in this way. But make sure with your child, they're leveraging this if you're logging in with them. If I change over to Chrome, that would be better. Stop sharing just for a second here. Okay, sorry about the technical difficulties. We are back on. So there will be starting with self-discovery. And again, each year they're going to have different activities that they're expected to do. Like they'll learn about their learning styles and how they are most productive, their personality, their strengths. This example student, Molly, she's a 9th grader, so she's really focused on intelligences. And the activities that are assigned to the student actually lets them know what they need to work on. So they're slowly building up that understanding of themselves, their interests, their strengths, and how that ties back to careers, and of course, their next step. So as a parent or family member, you can actually log in. I'm showing you first the student side so you can really get familiar, and then I'll show you what it looks like as a parent. But you can go in, you can actually view the results of these assessments. You can understand your child in a more detailed way when it comes to the different intelligence or different strengths, their learning and productivity styles. So this is Molly at a glance. She's interpersonal, she's linguistic, existential, and one of the best things about Naviance is it's really focused on future planning and growth mindset. So we are going to review their emotional intelligence. They can understand a little bit more recommendations. So every time each assessment is going to allow them to really learn about some of the things that are recommended to better develop that strength, their emotional intelligence, maybe that interpersonal skills that they may have, but it will also share with them a little bit more about challenges. So it's really a great way to best understand how to support your child. And again, as I shared, we're learning about who am I, what do I want to be. Every assessment or self-discovery activity is going to lead them to explore careers. And all of these are really tailored for their grade level. So your child is going to be doing a different self-discovery activity. It's going to plan different academic paths. They're going to do different goals at each grade level. So for example, recommended careers based on Molly's intelligences are really around interpersonal, supporting others, listening, because she has a lot of empathy, and that would be a great fit. So now we can learn a little bit more about careers just from this one assessment. So all of our information comes from the Board of Jobs in the federal government. So you can really get a clear understanding of education, median salary, other pathways, what they do. So maybe Molly, no one in her family may be part of this education and training job or career, but she's able to learn through Naviance what they do, maybe how much she's able to earn depending on where she lives. Also how those different intelligences that she learned about herself can be applied here. She can also explore different careers that are related to the one that would be a good fit. And then of course, she can also explore pathways. So this is just a great tool to really understand what options are there. And anytime that your child favorites something in Naviance, very similar to how they may like a TikTok dance or an Instagram post, they're creating a list of things they love. And it is great because on the other hand, their teachers or counselors are going to be able to see this on their end as well. So maybe there are opportunities around teaching and training at Central High School later on, maybe as a junior or senior, and they'll know Molly may be interested and may be a good fit. All of our clusters also have this employment outlook, so they can really understand, is this a good field to go on and continue to plan for the future? They can learn about some related occupations to further explore and related majors. So not every career path requires, a 4-year degree or a postgraduate degree. But if they do, like teacher, we all know they have to go to college for their bachelor's and then their master's. They're going to be able to explore directly from this cluster of pathways and careers. They'll be able to explore colleges if it requires college education that we are sure provide this specific field of study. In this plan of study, you can both learn what a general set of courses could be for your child when they are in high school as well as after high school. So you can really understand maybe what are some of those courses that they should be taking if they're planning on pursuing, in this case, a education in teaching. So as we're connecting self-discovery, right, with careers, is what do I want to be? I also want to highlight this tool called Road Trip Nation. This is one of our most interactive tools. And I really love it because it is entertaining and it's a way for families to connect with their child and connect about thinking about the future without being really specific around, okay, let's talk about college or let's talk about a job or trade school. So this, what it is, it's an archive called Road Trip Nation. These are sets of interviews. We have thousands of them, where college students interview people that are really successful in their field and truly just ask them, what was your road? How did you get there? So these are some of the ways that you can explore. And this is, of course, not a expected activity for them to do, but this is something that you can do together as a family, or if you're just curious about what's some of the information that Naviance has to offer. So you can define your own road, you can get together and work with your child on this as well. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing as long as I am, maybe Molly loves being creative. And I lose track of time when I'm learning about journalism. And I'm also into television. So when we pick these 3 things that we really like, Naviance creates this Venn diagram of intersections of those interests and curates kind of like a YouTube channel where students could really hear directly from anchors in CNN or MSNBC or journalists for a magazine about their road. And how you do this, it's really easy. Let's say I want to learn a little bit more about Patricia Janot in CNN en Español. They'll give you a biography, different themes that are discussed. So if you want to talk a little bit more about culture or hobbies and pastimes or goals, you can do that. Each interview is probably less than 7 minutes long. In this case, we're a little under 3 minutes. You can watch the full interview. You can look at a highlight, but you can look at different tiny snippets of the video, but it's a great way for you to explore. So let's say you want to watch the full interview. You can watch it here. There's another great way to explore this, and this is one that I love the most because it's really relevant. So you can organize Road Trip Nation like by most recent. So if you want your child to really see, hey, what are some of these new like technology companies that are out there, or like what would it be? What would it look like to, be in politics in 2021, right? What can we learn from people in their fields currently? You can sort it by most recent and then look through thumbnail grid. I love doing that because maybe you identify with someone that looks like you and you're like, oh, Alex Love, I want to learn more about them. So you can click into it. Again, all of them will give you a biography, different characters that they discuss, and then an interview. So this interview is a little bit longer, it's about 6 minutes, and you can always watch it together. Again, it's a really fun, interactive way to learn about current jobs that are, and people that are really successful in their field without making it too kind of boring, or it makes it just interactive. So that's going to be careers and exploring Road Trip Nation. The next piece that I'm going to show, because it's really important, is where you can find the tasks your students are assigned. So as I shared, Providence School students are accessing Naviance beginning in 6th grade in a very organized way. They have activities each year that they need to work on. Their counselors are supporting them, their teachers are supporting them. And all of this is to create that plan that makes them feel confident about life after they graduate and after they receive that high school diploma. So when I go here under planner and tasks, I'm going to see tasks assigned to me. So again, Molly is in 9th grade. So she has activities that she has completed for 9th grade, right? So she'll know, hey, I'm in 9th grade. So I have this 9th number right in front of all the activities that I need to do. It lets me know, hey, this is required versus recommended. But any activity that's assigned to them is something that they should be working on. They have time during the day to work on it. But again, if you're curious as to where your child is in the process for that school year, that task option is really important for you to figure out. So for example, Molly, she's done a couple things. So maybe you want to learn more about some of the things that they have completed, so you can learn more about your child and what they've done so far, what they've accomplished. So in this case, this activity is building a resume. And you can see students are expected to do this activity 9th through 12th grade, all of high school. Why? Because it's really building on what they're actively doing. That Molly maybe started dance, or maybe added yearbook as an activity, or maybe she won an award because she got all A's the second semester of freshman year, right? So when I click here, it'll take me to my child's resume. So this is a really neat way to see, hey, what's important to them? What have they been adding? So in this case, Molly has her education and some extracurricular activities she can continue to add, which is what she will be doing in 10th through 12th grade. And then this can be used for applying to jobs. It can be used for applying to colleges. They'll always want to know, hey, what were you doing outside of the classroom? And then they can also save it and then print it if necessary, or download it as needed. So that's one of the activities that Molly's doing. But Molly's doing several activities throughout the year. One of them was that, I'm going to show you a little bit more, that intelligences activity. So this one was actually completing that assessment. So you can see as they complete things, they know, hey, it's done, and can be reviewed by their counselor or teacher. If anything is past due, which is common, students miss school, they need to make up things. Naviance just lets you know, hey, Molly actually has to work on creating goals. So when my student comes here, Molly can understand, hey, I need to work on creating my long-term academic goal and my short-term academic goal. And it makes it really easy because it gives them a way to build a SMART goal. A SMART goal simply means a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So once Molly adds her goal, maybe her goal is to try out for the dance team. What specific things will you accomplish? Being part of the dance team, right? So it makes it really simple, and it is maybe an academic goal because Molly knows that having that extracurricular activity around dancing can really help her and maybe get into Juilliard, and that's a passion of hers, right? So this is just another activity. And again, everything that they do in Naviance from 6th through 12th grade is going to be captured here in the portal. So all their goals, the things that they like, the careers that they like, all in one place. So aside from these activities, students can also explore colleges. And each year they have a different way of engaging with that life after graduation piece. So college is not the only path, but it is one that they can explore in Naviance. They can also explore, cost for community college. They can explore different trade schools. So this is a really cool way to kind of understand what are some of the options. So I simply went to colleges and College Home. You as a parent, family member, can also search colleges. So maybe you are interested in colleges in Rhode Island, right? So in this case, Molly's also interested in colleges in Rhode Island, and she has already liked her favorite, right? She's building that list of things she likes. And so, for example, University of Rhode Island is a profile that you're interested in learning more about. So as a student, Molly can check out a virtual tour. She can view an overview. How much can it actually cost? You can toggle between different family incomes, right? So it's really about cost and aid and what's the graduation rate, right? 4 years, 6 years, the next deadline. This is really useful if you have a student that's a junior. They're going to be rising seniors. They're going to start thinking about that application process, and they're going to work closely with their counselor and college offices to do this. But you can get to know a little bit more about the college, understand the national average versus the school when it comes to possibility of getting accepted. studies, right? We want to understand, is this a really big school? Is this a ratio that would be good? Student retention. So 83% of students return for a second year after their freshman year, which is key in really ensuring that they're going to receive that degree. It's going to let them know what types of degrees are available and what majors are offered. So one of the things that we want to make sure students know before they decide where to apply or where to commit to, really want to make sure that whatever is interesting for them, that they're passionate about, that there's a good employment outlook for, that major is going to be available once they actually attend. Many times a student will decide on maybe the school colors, or maybe their best friend is applying. Once they get there, the major that they really end up being interested in may not be available, or is not the best program that they could have been accepted to. So now there's, all the things that come with changing. So this is a really important tool because it's going to let them know, hey, is this a good fit? We're going to learn a little bit about student life. So it's a large school, ethnicity breakdown, gender, total undergrad students, international students, residency status, capacity. So tons and tons of information here. Admissions is really important, right? Understanding maybe how much the cost of an application is, what is the acceptance rate, when am I applying? And here you can see, Molly can see, hey, if I work really hard on my SAT and my GPA, these are all students from Central High School that have been accepted. So it gives them just a good idea of where they would fall depending on their specific scoring. Molly, again, is a made-up student, so she doesn't have a little icon, but if she was an actual student Central, their data would be showing here depending of where it falls when it comes to GPA and SAT score. Aside from that, you can also learn about costs, right? So understanding costs, understanding the aid that's available is really important to understanding, that return on investment, understanding, is it a viable option, right? So this is a really great way. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see a little bit more. The average grant amount, what is a grant, right? That's really good. Average Pell Grant amount. So for this college, versus colleges and Naviance are giving a larger Pell Grant, and that's something that is a financial aid from the federal government. And then of course, student loans, that's always a part of that kind of total equation. So average net cost versus family income, you can see here, they provide more financial support, of course, for families with a lower income, which is great because if your students are completing that FAFSA, it's a great way to really make sure that they're being provided the correct financial plan. Colleges want students to attend. They want to make sure that they're supported, that they come back, return for a second year, graduate, become alumni and successful. So there's really, really understanding the cost is great because then you can see, okay, what are some of the loans that I need to do? Maybe what are some of the grants I need to apply for? Maybe what is the scholarships that are available that I can check out. And speaking of scholarships, Naviance also allows students to explore scholarships. So that's something that they always do in their junior and senior year, which is not current. So Molly is a freshman, so she doesn't see this, but if you were to have an older student, they would be able to see that paying for college option as well. As Molly builds what she likes, this little heart section is also growing. So Molly can look at the favorite pathways, clusters, careers that she's like. And Naviance does recommend, hey, if you are interested in the pathway of education and training, professional support services, or therapeutic services could be a good place. So for example, if I want to learn a little bit more about this pathway, the student can click into it, learn about the employment outlook, typical credentials, related occupations, right? So everything is kind of tied together there. If I have a child that's like, I really want to explore careers, but I want to make sure that I don't have to go to a 4-year college or post-grad or be a doctor or anything like that. They can come into the career exploration general page and actually filter for, I want to make sure I'm looking at a 2-year college, or maybe I want to look at careers that only require a high school diploma. So if I do that, I can click apply. This is all in the alphabetical order, but they can also click into a specific title. So let's see if I want to be athletes and a sports competitor. I know that's a famous one, right? Especially after the national championship last night. So you can just kind of see the different information that's there, skills and experiences. So what knowledge you need to have, what activities are required. That's all information that's available for all of the careers. So now with that said, the careers as students like them, again, we are also, Molly's building that list of colleges she's thinking about. So Molly has reviewed Brown, University of Rhode Island, which I shared. She watched the basketball tournament yesterday and is curious about North Carolina. But of course, she also wants to make sure she's also applying to that community college. So these are getting built. And once your child is adding this into Naviance, they're not only completing those activities that are required by grade level, but they're also completing a side for their counselor to see and their teachers to see, so that they're better informed in their interests. And then last but definitely not least, you can also see the About Me section, their resume, goals. A portfolio means really everything that they've done in Naviance, right? So for example, Molly has done their intelligences assessment. So you can see here that full report as well in that self-discovery side. So now that I showed you Naviance student, I also want to show you that parent side. The parent side is very similar. It's pretty much the same, but in Naviance, parents are viewers, not doers. So what that really means is that you're going to be able to see what your student does, but if Molly needs to complete those 2 goals, Molly's the only one that can add them in the system, right? She's the only one that can go into the portal and actually add those goals. So you can see what they're working on. You can review careers, explore colleges, see all of their self-discovery results, but you cannot do anything like take an assessment for them or complete a career research for them, right? Because this is a portal that allows you just to see how the planning is going. So with that said, I'm going to log out from Molly and actually show you what it would be to log in as a parent. So as a parent at Providence, there's 2 ways that you can log in. It really is dependent on your specific user account. So I'm going to show you as a parent that has never logged in. It's called Maria Ball. But if you are curious as to how you should log in, I would absolutely reach out to the counseling team at your school. And maybe Gina or Holly will share best practice in a few minutes once I wrap up around that. But I just want to show you. So if you're coming back to Naviance and you are already registered, you can always check this icon, parent or guardian. But I'm going to click into it. And I'm actually going to say, hey, Maria Ball, I've never logged in. I'm new. I need to register. So I've been provided a code. And this is really a random code that's created by the system because Maria Ball has never accessed Naviance. So I'm going to say, I'm going to register. I'm going to say, no, thanks for that. And I'm going to say my email. Right, I would always use an email that you use actively, because if you ever need to reset your password, or if you're, the school your child is in is sending information, you want to make sure you get that. So that's going to be my email. Your password needs to meet this requirement. So let's see. This is my password for my Maria Ball. They match, they meet the requirements. I click continue. Uh-oh. My provided ID. Let's see here. Okay. I'm making some magic happen with my fake parents. So let me pause. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second so I can actually go into the administrative side and show you here. See, I think I've been logged out for too long. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna actually show you from the beginning, but I just wanted to make sure it worked. So I'm gonna log out. So I use the registration code. My parent is registered. I'm gonna go back. It always prompts you to go back and log in. So I go back. I'm always going to use this native email. I'm gonna make sure that this icon of a family is showing. And I'm gonna log in with the email I gave. And again, you can use whatever email you receive information on the most often. And then I'm going to do my password. Sure. It is case sensitive, so make sure that you are doing that. So key thing, if you have 3 kids in the district, you have a 6th grader, a 9th grader, and a senior, right? You'll actually have an option, I'll show you what that looks like, to choose which child's profile you want to access. One time, you only need one username and one password. In the case of Maria Ball, Molly Ball's mom, she only has Molly in the district at Central High School. So when she clicks here, she only sees Molly as an option. But let's say if Maria had Molly and Colin and they were at different schools, she would still only need to access the portal once with that one username and one password. And I'll show you the slight differences. So we're looking at Molly. She's at Central High School. You can see the welcome page. You can see what activities they need to work on. You can see what's overdue, tasks assigned to me. So for example, when I go into the resume, I can click here to see the resume, right? But I can't make any changes. I can't add things. This is Molly's resume to complete. I can, on the other hand, for example, if I go back to tasks and I see all of the activities that intelligence is task, I click here, it's going to take me to where that a self-discovery assessment that Molly completed in 9th grade is, and I can see their result, right? I can see their result, their strengths, the challenges that they may have. I can still explore those careers with them. You can do a lot of it, but you just can't see how there's no heart. Even if you were to click into it, there's nothing that you can click to like. Only Molly can these careers because it's all about Molly's journey, right? In self-discovery, again, a lot of these are going to be assigned to your students depending on the grade level that they're in. But see, you can't start assessment. So you are a viewer as a parent, not a doer. It's great because you have full visibility into what they're doing, but it's really allowing your child to do that full discovery section. So nothing changes here between the staff side, the parent side or the student side. It's just really that access to completing things on behalf of your students. Aside from that, you really see the same things too. It really allows you to stay on top of the activities that your student would need to complete. Last thing I do want to show you is what it would look like if you had multiple students, really briefly, and then happy to answer any questions. So this is what it looks like if you have 2 or more students at Providence that are between 6th and 12th grade. So the program starts in 6th grade. You log in, and in the login section, in that moment when you are putting in your credentials, if you're logging in, you're going to be able to say, hey, I want to look at Molly Ball or Colin Ball, depending on maybe who's, I just came back from parent conferences and I really need to look at, because we discussed the individual learning plan and how maybe Molly is falling behind on their goals, right? So this is a way that you can select a child. That's one way. If you log in a lot in Naviance, then it may just automatically send you to a student, your student Molly, maybe you're actively there, but you now want to check what Colin's doing. You can always go into this little name right here and change it. And if I were to have more kids, Maria Ball, she were to have more kids, there we see multiple students here. So you don't need multiple logins or anything like that. One will do, because we work closely with the information system at the district, so that you only have to log in with one time, but still see if you have multiple children in the district, you can still see them. So with that said, that's really gives you a full tour of all the tools that are available. So I am going to open it to Q&A if you want anything to be shown, if you want me to review anything, clarify anything, absolutely here to answer those questions.
Maria, I just wanted to speak to the parent sign on, and for those of us who are on, if you have an email in Skyward, all parents need to do, or families need to do, is reset their password instead of looking for the parent code. However, if you don't have an email in Skyward, then your counselor can generate at the school level a parent code and send it out. So we did do this a few years ago, but if you're having trouble getting on and you need steps, please contact the schools and they can assist to get you on.
Thank you, Holly. And I'll show you, that's a great point. If you've never logged in, but you do have an email at Skyward, you can always click into the parent guardian, and you can just select, very similar to a Netflix password, or any account that you forget your password for. It happens all the time. You just would put the email that is tied to Skyward here, and a temporary password is sent to you. It lasts 45 days. You can reset it and then access your student Naviance portal. So we do have a question around registration code. So if you have an email in Skyward as a parent, you actually were automatically registered by the system. So my recommendation would be to go into the Naviance portal, select parent or guardian, and just select the option of forgot password, enter the email that's tied to Skyward, and reset your password. If for any reason it says no, you're not registered, it'll give you an update if your password is not ready. Reach out directly to your counseling office at your school, or the school that your children are in. You can do one, even if you have multiple students in the district. Just reach out to them. They can provide you a registration code just in case that workflow is needed. So definitely the school counseling office will support that registration code if needed. Great question.
Maria, I just want to invite families that if they have a question that they would like to ask out loud, that they can raise their hand. So please press the little hand at the very bottom of your screen if you prefer to ask your question live, and we will go ahead and ask you to unmute. Otherwise, please also write any questions. I think that there's another, well, actually, Cynthia said thank you for that response. In the meantime, there are no other questions right now. I did want to ask you a question that I'm not sure if you covered at the very beginning, but when do students use Naviance during school? And I think it's just parents.
So I can answer that, yes. Janet. All our schools, middle and high school, have an advisory period. Most are 1 day per week for the length of a class period. So it does look different at each school depending on the day they chose or the time. but students do have access to work on Naviance with their advisory teacher once per week.
Once per week, okay.
Some schools may have it more than once, but the majority, it's once per week.
Okay. Another question, still waiting for, I'm a high school parent as well. Just very quickly, in terms of tasks, does Naviance actually suggest certain tasks? Or is it based on a student as actually selecting a task? Like, I don't know how they would know what they need to do first, let's say.
Yeah, that's
wanna-
a great question.
Go ahead, Maria.
I can show it live, so it's helpful. So this is Providence has a specific set of activities for each grade level, 6th through 12th grade. So a student in 6th grade doesn't need to access Naviance and just be like, I have no clue what to do. Let me see here.
Yeah, the district determined which activities they would do by grade level to meet the ILP, the individual learning plan benchmarks that the Department of Ed requires for all students in grades 6 through 12. So there's set benchmarks that we have to make sure our students are completing and working on. So we link those tasks with the benchmarks.
Great.
And then Maria's going to show you what that looks like.
Yeah, let me
The
pull
system.
it up. Yeah, so each student is doing it, and when they log in, they see the activities. And Providence is super organized because it doesn't matter where, if they're a 6th grader, one middle school and another middle school, like every 6th grader is doing the same thing. Same with any other grade level, which is really nice. But also, see if we're in. Okay. It's also timed, so like it's seasonal. So they're kind of working on things based on the time of the year. It doesn't mean that activities go away. If maybe a student joins Central High School, maybe Molly joined it in the late, later in the year, so she still needs to work on that November test. But it's going to let them know not only what activities they need to do, but also by when. So, for example, when Molly logs in, she sees, hey, I need to do these 2 tasks. They're overdue. They're actually due by November. But I actually also have my game plan survey, and that's due April 30th. So it lets them know not only what activity they need to do, but when they should be doing it by. And advisory teachers are, they're aware of what activities their students are doing, what they need to complete. So it's a really easy way for everybody to track. So I highly recommend, as a parent, going in, reviewing what they've done. For example, this specific activity is not due till April 30th, right? But Molly can always begin to work on it. She can raise her hand virtually and ask questions here directly to the counselor, but makes it really easy. I can go into the system and it takes me right where I need to be as Molly, a 9th grader, completing that activity.
So when you had the cursor on raise hand, is that connected to the actual guidance counselor of the student? It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, yep. That if the counselor that is assigned to the student would receive a question, an alert that Molly has a question.
Okay. Does the name of the guidance counselor appear anywhere here in Naviance? So in case a parent doesn't know the name of the guidance counselor, but yet did get access to Naviance?
No, let me see, actually, 1 second, sorry. And I
The
have my-
counselors are listed in Skywood. And also, on our webpage in the directory.
So actually, yes. So because all of the data comes through Skyward into Naviance, if you go
It's here.
into About Me, my account, either at the student level or the parent level, the counselor, in this case, is a test fake student, but the counselor would be here, ID, anything, any information that's shared through Skyward is here. So they can absolutely reach out to the counselor through that.
Wonderful. I think we have a question. Do students from advanced academics use it too?
Advanced academics within our middle schools.
District.
Yes, all students. Yep. all students grades 6 through 12 in all our middle and high schools.
Very good. Okay. In terms of the individual learning plan, where is it exactly, the view? Like, where would the parent find the individual learning plan that the student is working on? Do they have access to view, parents?
So yeah, that's a great question. So the best place to see what every single thing the student has done, and the individual learning plan is really just a set of activities that are assigned by grade level. So they're building on each other when it comes to self-discovery, career exploration, goal setting. I would recommend going to the About Me section of the student and the portfolio. So again, Molly is a fake student, so she doesn't have all the information that a real student at Providence would have. But year over year, they're building this portfolio, so they can jump around into goal planning. They would see all the different goals that they've created, 6th through 12th grade. They could jump into career planning, academic planning, but this would be the portfolio would be the best place to kind of just see everything at once. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go into planner and tasks. This is where they would see the activities that align back to that plan.
This is my final question. I don't see any other questions yet. In terms of when Naviance is actually introduced to students, is it normally, during the first week of school? And then there's a refresher for kids to actually, again, continue to be active on the account. I guess that's the same question for middle school and high school.
Yeah, I would say that the beginning of the school year, it's rolled out to all students.
Yeah.
And like grade level assemblies, and then in advisory, they're not working on Naviance every week.
Mhm.
However, they certainly can, unless the school has other activities. We have an advisory timeline built out for each grade level with suggested and mandatory activities. So of course, all the Naviance ones are mandatory. And they can work on those activities the weeks that the school decides that, we're going to work on Naviance today. We also have counselors going through all the advisories to help support teachers and students complete the task and just navigate the website.
And in the initial months of school, September and October, in all the grade levels, there's a Naviance task. So students are seeing it right at the beginning.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry, I said that was the last question, but this is the last question.
That's okay.
So when is Naviance introduced to parents? Is it that the students are supposed to share the information, or how are parents notified about Naviance?
Emails are sent out. There's a way of communicating through email. And if you have an email in Skyward, you were able to receive an email about Naviance to parents. Counselors were sending
And
them
about
to
the
parents.
account, right? Setting up your account.
Yep,
as
and
a
there was
parent.
an introductory video as well.
It goes in that notification, that first notification.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we asked all schools to roll this out to their families too, like, if it's an open house or something like that, some type of sessions that they have with their families at the beginning of the school year.
Okay. Is the video available on the website? Either the school's website or the district website?
I have on our district website, on the school counseling webpage. I don't know if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, please, yes, if you can, that'll be great. Because I know
I
the.
believe there's the link,
Yeah.
Okay.
a video.
So that way we can
And
show
this-
families how to get
yeah.
there. That'd be great.
Maria, are you pulling it up, or did you want me to do that? I can pull it up.
If you want to guide me, I have it up, but I don't know your website too well.
It's under department Oh, there you
Yep,
go.
some here
Yep.
and
And
some in
school counseling.
Yeah, I was,
Back
okay.
into
I was
that.
gonna put it in the chat too, if you want.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And then go further down. There's a little bit more. Yep. Further down. And it talks about Naviance. Right
that's
here.
Right here.
Yep. And then the
student
student journey. The video is
In
here.
there, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and this video is really nice. It walks you through the whole thing of the very beginning of exploring themselves, self-discovery, careers, why, all of that. It's really helpful video. So that is towards the bottom, student journey.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then I see right there the link to get the list of the school
The
counselors.
counselors, yeah, you can just click on that. That would be great. And you can see the list of counselors by grade level. So this first tab on the bottom left is elementary, then middle, then high. And then we have time squared counselors in the other section, the specialist and the registration center counselor.
This is great.
So I put the website in the chat.
Mhm.
So yeah, please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your school counselors. There's a lead counselor at every school, or, you know, a counselor who is there to help support families navigate the Naviance site. We have ILP coordinators. This person, the counselor who's really leading the work for the ILP, and they're available as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if Holly, Maria, if you want to add some, last few words before you exit the Zoom.
I just wanted to thank everyone for joining this evening. I know it's late, so I appreciate your time and really excited that you were able to get a little bit of a tour around the portal. And I hope you can use that with your children when it comes to planning for their next step.
I also wanted to let parents know that if your child transfers schools within the Providence School District, this follows them. However, if Naviance is used in another school district, for example, if it's in Cranston, they will not be able to pull up that account in Providence. So it's just if they move within the schools in Providence. So even if a child changes from, say, PCTA to Central or Hope or Mount, that they can just open it up right there. So it's nice to have everything in one spot.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And Gina, I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything else.
No, thank everyone for joining.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And what I am going to try to do is find out if we're able to take this recording and make sure that we can push it out to our families of middle school and high school parents through the Kimbo, the texting tool that we have for the district, so that way they can have access right away to this video, actually recording of the session. So I think it's super important. We are at the end of the school year, close to the end of the school year, but there's so much information here that, I just want to make sure that our families are aware. And so I want to thank you again for your time. Gina will keep in touch in terms of future sessions for our families. And so again, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.